So I'm really excited about today's episode. I get to talk to Tara McRae, who I've been following her career for a while. I met her in Wynwood at an UGG's not UGG's, Crocs.
Clark's. It was Clark
Clarks.
years ago. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I met her years ago. I think it was during Art Basel, and
Yep.
she was leading something there. And I have a lot of great friends over at PUMA. And when I heard you were like president of North America, and I was like, yes, this is what I love to see, like women actually growing in their field, in their areas, and really taking it up a notch. So I would love for you to tell us who you are and outside of just your career, right? Like, who are you? You're a mom. What are some of your passions? And tell my viewers who you are.
Yeah. It's funny, that we met at Windward Walls is one of my favorite spots, Miami.
Yeah.
Years and years ago when it was just when they first opened, it was just like a couple walls. I had gone there and became obsessed with it. Now to see what it's become around there, and then I posted a bunch of, different events down there during Art Basel. So yeah, it was funny that that's where we met, one of my favorite places. So it's nice to be talking to you
I
again.
know, and I'm still here. And you come down often because I saw you with your kids down here one time. So you definitely come
Yeah.
here often.
Yeah, and my daughter's a competitive dancer, and her nationals are down there, like, kind of every other year, so she's down there this July, so I'll be back down there.
Oh, what
Uh,
does she do? What is she doing?
she's, her ADA, America Dance Awards nationals are there in July, so she has multiple different styles of dance, so she'll be competing all week, so I usually spend time in Windward, and my son and I go catch a Marlins game and do some fun stuff down in Miami.
I know what that dance mom looks like. Okay. I had my daughter who was competing, traveling, and then it ends when they finish high school. And I
Yes.
feel like they find themselves missing it a lot once it ends because if you don't make a full career of it, you're just kind of going back to what you want to do. And I find her like sitting and now I really do miss dancing, like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my daughter's a freshman, so she's got a few more years left of that, but she's been dancing since she was 2. So it's been a full ride. But yeah, thank you for having me. As you mentioned, I currently oversee the North America region for PUMA. This is my second stint at PUMA. So
What
I
was
was
it first?
my younger years. So I lived in LA for a little bit after undergrad, and then I worked at Bose Consumer Electronics, one of my favorite brands out in consumer electronics growing up, and I worked there for 6 years. And then early in my career, I took over a job at Puma running their national media and advertising. And then I did a 10-year stint at Puma.
Wow.
I grew throughout the organization, various different roles, and ended up running brand and marketing, and then from there, I went on to Clark's, and I did my first 4 years at Clark's in business strategy, e-commerce. Eventually became chief marketing officer, and then I did about a year and a half sabbatical from Clark's, and I ran the marketing function and some other functions at TB12, Tom Brady's health and wellness company.
Wow, so you kinda, like, did a few things along the way.
Did, and then, Clark's had called me back, so I went back to Clark's. They had gone through a lot of change over there, and I went back there as their CMDO, so Chief Marketing and Digital Officer, and was there for another 4 years. That second stint is where you and I met, and I oversaw, digital marketing, Clark's Originals, and had a blast, and we did a lot of work on the brand. Brand, turned 200 years old during that time period, so that was a really, really challenging yet fun time for me. And then I got a phone call one day about the opportunity at Puma, a brand I grew up on, loved, spent 10 amazing years growing my career here. And there was an opportunity for me to come into this role, and I jumped at it.
Love
So
that.
I've been back about a year and a half now. I've been the president of the region for a year now. You're catching me at my year mark last April. And it has been a completely wild ride this past year. It was
And I
like, okay,
I love that you love the culture.
oh,
Like,
I
you
do.
genuinely
Yeah.
love the culture. You're not just this woman that is, like, sitting behind a desk, pressing all these buttons, like, you're outside, outside. Like, you're in the streets of New York with the homies, you're up in Germany with the homeboys, you're with the men, like, you're with the women, like, you're everywhere. So you could tell that you really love what you're doing.
I do. I love the best part, is I love sports and I love fashion and trends and culture and everything you've talked about. And every brand I've been at has been that expression. Bose is in music. Yes, of course, better sound through research, but they're also into sports, and anywhere that there's music and culture. Puma obviously plays in fashion and trends and sport, obviously.
Yeah.
And the ultimate casual comfort shoe brand out there that really plays into fashion footwear there. So I've been lucky enough to have brand opportunities. But yeah, it's a passion of mine. It's definitely not fake. You follow me on Instagram. You probably see a lot of content on my
Mhm,
kids and
mhm.
then a lot of content on my travels. But
And I'm always like, I always tell Clyde, "You sure you don't need like a lint roller, like someone to just like pack your suitcases or like Rhonda, that's not how it works." Well, you're like a big deal at Puma, so like make it work.
know that I'm a big deal, but you are more than welcome to travel with me anytime. More the merrier.
So I want to kind of start with the human a little bit, not the resume, and kind of talk about like you as a person outside of the titles and LinkedIn. Like, who is Tara? Like, what do you do for yourself that has nothing to do with work? What
Hmm.
does a good day look like for you? Like, something outside of work.
Hmm. Well, I do have some other work that I do too. We'll get into that later. It's my kids. I would say pre-kids, sports, travel.
Two kids, right?
I have 2 kids. Yeah, I have a 12-year-old boy. Soccer's number one for him. International soccer. He plays soccer and then basketball, golf. He does a little bit of tennis and stuff like that. But soccer's his main sport, which was my main sport growing up. So it's awesome.
Camera.
And then my daughter is 15. She'll be 16 in the fall, freshman in high school, and dance is her thing, competitive dancer. Dances, I don't know, anywhere from 4 to 7 times a week, pending comp season, as you know what it looks like. But yeah, she played different sports when she was younger, but just really fell into and fell in love with dance.
Yeah.
Uh, a remarkable sport that meets, the artistic side as well, which I love.
Especially
Uh,
when it's really good at it. So,
Oh my god, yeah, and the benefit is, like, I definitely would say, when you joke about the dance mom thing, that my partner's the dance mom for sure, like,
that's the job.
24/7. I roll into the dance comps, I hang out with all the dance moms, I drop a few jokes, I see some dances, and I leave, like, she's the full on, you know what it is,
You
like,
have to be. You have to have one.
right. Oh my god. A full on. It is a full-time job, like, for sure. I roll in, I have fun, I see the dances, I'm amazed by it, and then, I'll take my son to his soccer games, which are, like, 90 minutes in and out.
Yeah,
So
no, the dance is different. There's crab bits, and then it's difficult for the ones that don't have a partner or don't have a significant
oh
other,
my goodness.
because then you become like the provider and like me, hi, and you have to show up to all the games, and it's like, how many flowers do I have to buy? Like how much, like what, like because then you see the other moms and the grandmas, and they come like with. I'm like, wait, what was I supposed to like buy all this stuff? Like it's
The
so
pressure
overwhelming.
the pressure for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, God bless you, I don't know how you do it. You're
I
absolutely right. Especially the ones that have multiple kids that it's
have a
insane.
grandma at this point. Okay.
Stop, stop. No, no.
I have a 4-year-old grandson and a 5-month-old granddaughter.
It's so awesome.
It's like the best thing ever. Like you were
You
saying,
got it.
kids and, that part that grows into your grandkids. And I've been everywhere. I've done everything and nothing compares to those moments. Like nothing.
Sure, I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure. That's awesome, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, congrats to you too. You have a lot of great things going on and have family partner. That's so important. I think we live in an age right now where it's hard to date. It's hard to meet your significant other. Day of, digital media. Everyone thinks there's something,
Yeah,
better. So take me through your path, right? How does a woman get to vice president? That's question one.
yeah.
And like not the polished version. Like you have to give me like the real deal. Like how do you get because women,
Yeah.
we live in a day and age we're not really seen at the levels that we should be seen. We're not paid what we should be paid. So like how did it happen?
Yeah, um, it's funny because I get when I do stuff like this, I always get that question.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say early in my career, because I worked with so many women early in my career, it wasn't something I noticed. I was just I mean, you grow up with that I was an athlete, that athlete mentality, and always wanted to work. When I was a kid, I begged my mom, I think I was like 12 or 13, I begged my mom that I could have a paper route. Like, that's how old I am. Randa, don't tell anybody. And it was like, "Can I please?" Because I was like, "I can make money doing this." And she was like, "No, you're gonna get kidnapped." I was like, "I promise you, like, just I'll do the neighborhood only." So, like, I conned her into letting me do that, and then from there, I always had a job, and sometimes multiple jobs, and, like,
So,
whether I
like,
was
hustle,
cooking.
hustle.
Yeah, like, I just had that hustle mentality at a young age,
Yeah.
and then just kept that, and then when I got out into the workforce, was always wanted to do more, and then I would have my full-time job, but then I'd have hobby jobs on the side as well, whether it was coaching or, like, I directed theater and stuff like that, so I always had that hustle mentality and keeping my hands in many things. So I think early in my career, I just worked really, really hard, and I wanted that growth, and then at a young age, when I got to sit around the table and got that VP title, I was the only woman. And that's when I really, you don't notice it on a day-to-day basis, but then you notice it like in even going into the meeting when people are casually talking or when you're traveling and you're the only female. And there's obviously, differences. And so you start to notice things like that. And then just, then when having kids and stuff like that, you start to notice it. The more senior I got, the more I started to notice it that I became the only woman. I mean, definitely most of the time the only gay person in the room, but most of the time the only woman. Um, so it's something once I started
Because
to
most of
notice.
the time, unless you show it, no one knows that you're gay or, like,
Yeah,
no one
exactly
knows.
right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
And so I think that's when I really started to notice that part of it. It was probably my first stint when I was over at PUMA. That's why I take great pride. My senior team, that I sit around the table with, in North America is 50-50. Right now is 50-50 men and women, and I've never sat around a senior team that I've been a part of that's 50-50
Yeah,
male and female. And it wasn't like, "Oh, well, I chose this person, I chose that person." It's just,
happens. Yeah.
promotions and recruiting and all that. So very, very proud of that. Um, but, it's definitely something I became more and more aware of and how which is why I do so much mentorship of young women internally, externally to try to give them the confidence to go in that direction because it is hard.
No, it is, but and most importantly is believing in yourself and never allowing anyone to tell you that you can't accomplish something. Because the more they tell you you can't, and the more you say I can, eventually you're gonna make it exactly where you want to be. But don't forget the work. I think a lot of people they believe in the power of manifestation, and it's just gonna come to me if I believe. No, no, you have your actions have to align with what you're asking for, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
Um,
It is
with
weird because when I so sorry, Renda, when I
that's
got promoted into this role as president of North America, as the first woman that has ever been president at PUMA, and it didn't dawn on me until somebody had asked me, and then I realized because I went back on what were the presidents, and it was part of me was like,
the first female president.
and part of me was like, I didn't want that to be the story because I wanted it to be like, I've earned this role because I've worked my ass off to get
Oh,
to
wait,
this.
so I said vice president. So let's correct this. Presidents of Puma North America.
Thank you.
Okay.
Regardless of that, and so part of me was like, "Oh, I don't want that to be the story because it's just about, but then the other part of me wanted to show young women, like, who may not believe because 'cause they've never seen a woman in these leadership roles, like, they are still the amount like, the footwear industry that I'm in, there's a lot of amazing women, that I work with at different brands and different companies, and that I'm either worked with younger in my earlier in my career, work with now that are amazing, but it's not as many as we would like to be out
Yeah.
there.
No,
I want to
definitely
be able
still not.
No, so I want to be able to promote that and really push women to have the confidence to grow into that position. But you're absolutely right. You don't I mean, maybe some people can manifest it, and that's amazing, but you do have to work.
Work.
You have to put in the work, and you
Yeah,
have to
I say
hustle.
that all the time. You
Yeah,
people will send me to, how do you do it? Like, how are you so successful? And I'm like, define successful because I'm here, I'm breathing. I'm at the best I can be, but I'm not sure what the word successful means
yeah,
anymore. It's because for me, it's not the amount of money you have. It's, definitely being able to build stability and security, but success and rich comes from being loved and loved on, and people don't and I never realized that, I'm a single mom from New York, like, Palestinian woman, born and raised to refugee parents, don't come from much of anything, so you couldn't tell me that,
Yep.
it was like that. Was there a moment where you almost said, like, "You know what? I don't wanna do this. Like, it's just gonna something's gonna disrupt in my life. It's a little bit too challenging." Like, did you ever wanna take a different road?
I don't know that I wanna take a different road, but I've had different career thoughts, like different career path thoughts, but I've always, as I mentioned, that's just who I am. I get bored really easily, like, I like having a lot of different things, like, I sit on a couple board seats that are outside of the industry that I really like learning and
Nice.
whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever wanna, like, throw in the towel, but I grew up my dad was, a police officer growing up, and my mom, was an entrepreneur. She had her own I mean, and you talk about they didn't really come from much,
Yeah.
and they provided, very well for my brother and I as far as, we never needed for anything, but they didn't grow up with a lot, so I think they taught that was in us and how to work hard to earn everything that you have.
Yeah.
To me, it was like, because I grew up with a police officer father and an entrepreneur mother, like, what path did I wanna go?
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think there was a lot of questions on what did I wanna do when I grew up? Did I want to be a police officer and go that route, or did I want to have my own business or go that route? And then I just kind of fell into in college, I fell in love with marketing and communication courses. So I really started to go that path, and I got to realize that the creative side of me could be expressed there. And then the athletic side of me, like, I wasn't good enough to be a professional athlete. So, but I could still be in sports in a different way and still have that. And my sneaker obsession as a kid, I could bring that to life. So I think for me, it was always, I would do something. I just didn't know what path I was going to take.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like, for me, it's always like, what fresh sneakers do I have on my feet? Like, I've always been, I mean, from up north, that's it. Like, school system, and I've
Huh.
always been just real. Like, I love working with active sports brands and like just telling stories. And that's one of the great things about Puma. Their storyteller is impeccable. They tell a story in a way that makes you want to just buy whatever they're selling, tie it with the right artist, it's the right celebrity. So what is the one thing that nobody tells you about getting to this executive level as a woman? Like, the thing that
Uh,
only makes
yeah.
sense once you're there.
I don't know if it's the first thing that comes to mind isn't the woman thing, but I'll have to think about that. But I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday. He and I worked together at Clark's, and he recently got promoted to a very, very high level at a
Nice.
competitive brand. And I said, "How's it going?" And he's like, "Tara, nobody tells me anything anymore." And I was like, "I know, right?" I said, "Nobody believes me." It's like, "Oh, it's lonely at the top." But I was like, "You're out of the mix. Like, you're shunned. Nobody wants to get in the elevator with you. Like, nobody's in there telling you what's going on before." I was like, "It's funny to me." That's the part, like, I didn't realize. So I have to put in that extra effort to, like, stay in the mix on that, because once you're at that level,
Is
the
it like
way that
everyone's doing, like, you just have delegation, everyone's just doing what they're doing and you're overseeing it?
yeah, and that is like, there are some parts I'm probably more intimately involved than other parts there. But yeah, it's funny because we just started laughing about the fact that you're like, yeah, nobody tells you any of the like the day to day in that area anymore. You don't know what's going on in that area. So that was funny. But I think
Do you like that? Like, is that, or do you wanna be, like, more involved?
I'm still getting used to it. I'm still getting used to that part of it. There's some areas that I like being more involved in, but, really trying to delegate and letting the team step up. Um, the craziness of my days could go from something really creative and exciting all the way over to something super operational. At
Perfect.
behind the scenes, yeah,
Yeah.
and that part I actually really like. I do, because I love using both sides, like really more of the scientific side of my brain, more the artistic side. So I think that part I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
In but yeah, I mean, there's so many things. Like, I always tell everybody, and this is through my learning experience, is you have to give everything a year, because you have to go through a full cycle of everything. You're always going to feel underwater. You're going to feel as though, like, imposter syndrome, like, can I do this?
And I just
After a year, and then you're going through it for the second time, whatever that cycle is. you know a little bit more than you did the first time. So you have a little bit more confidence. So I feel like that comfort level comes after you're in a new elevated role or anything new after a year that you can really get comfortable in it.
Yeah,
So
because
like,
you get to see, like, your support, who's supporting, what roles go where, like, I think there you gotta give something at least a year, you're absolutely right. Did you have to give up anything or, like, pretend to give up anything to get where you are today?
oh wow, that's a good question. Free time. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of if I think back, there's a lot of stuff I gave up over time because a lot of my friends and my certain family members and whatnot, they don't have a certain career I do. Luckily, my brother does. He's an executive as well and travels and has a lot going on, so he understands it. But you may have to travel for work and give up your friend's birthday dinner, or so there's a lot of stuff like that. Like if my friends were
You can invite your friend with you to the dinner.
yeah, fair to
It's like, "Hey,
my
I
work.
can't go to yours, but I'm going to a really good one. Do you wanna come with me?"
Totally. But with my kids, I try to prioritize them and their major milestones over that. But growing up before kids, I missed a lot of stuff with my friends and whatnot because I was like, oh, I have an event this weekend, or I have to travel here, or I have to travel there. So you do give up a lot of that stuff. You give up a lot of personal time. You
Yeah,
re- the good news is when you love what you do and you're involved in really cool
yeah.
different things, like I get to meet with some of the coolest retailers and the best retailers from
I
all over.
know. I like it's just so fascinating, and it just was so important to love what you do.
Yes.
So important and to never give up. I think a lot of times we think that, oh, we've been in it for I've been have an agency for 20 years. 20 years. I just finished developing my own software solution by myself by sitting here and taking courses because there's a difference between being an agency owner versus being the president of PUMA North America. Oh, and you think there's similarities, but there's not. There's this like overwhelming of like keep going. So for me, I'm always learning what's next.
Yeah, yeah.
There are so many agencies. There's so many marketing agencies.
Competitive.
How do I stand out? I figured it out. So that's the beautiful thing. But it's taken me 20 years. I've
Yeah.
gave like you said, time. Time is the most important factor. I've gave up so much time. And a lot of times
Your own business, you can't stop.
you can't. And then it's like to be the provider and to be the nurturer, to be the supporter, it's doable. You can do it. But that does also mean that your kids are going to be lacking something from you along the way because you can't do everything.
Yep.
And so many women will like beat themselves in the head over it. And I'm like, no, you respect everyone's walk. Everyone's walk is different. I always like to say God doesn't give you more than what you can handle. And there's always a lesson that's going to come out of it? What would you
Great.
say and like the importance of having people in your corner? And I think that this is like we talk about women empowerment, right? And March is filled with events and it's like, oh, it's women his every day is Women's Day.
I
Like
agree.
and every day is Men's Day. Every day is Humanity Day, right? But the importance of having specific women in your corner. Like who do you feel were some of those like specific relationships, even if they're men, that really were in your corner, like help you through?
I have been so lucky to have amazing people in my corner, mentors, some that I would seek out and some that just organically happened. I don't know if you can see it behind me. There's a picture of me and in the guy in the pink shirt. Me and he was the president of Puma North America when I was here the first time, and then I eventually ended up reporting into him. And he was my direct manager for many many years. He was an amazing mentor. One of my favorite human beings. Loved working for him. I learned so much from him. And throughout, even when I left Puma, it was like heartbreaking. I felt like we were breaking up. Like he was just
Yeah.
sad to me. So when I came back to take over this role, I went and had coffee with him, and I was like, "I need advice." He's like, you don't need advice from me." I was like, "Yes, I do." He's just been an amazing mentor. So lucky to have him. And then I have a network of women that I've grown up with in the industry that I'm still friends with today, and whenever is needed and going through something career-wise, and now, like, one of them's at a direct competitor, and so there's only so much we can talk about when we get on the phone, but, she's a very, very senior executive at a direct competitor, but, like, I'll call her, and I'm always in her camp to find success, and I will never wish anything but her and that brand success over there.
Always.
Um, but I'm a big fan of women supporting women in the workplace, and I think when people are not in the room, how you support them is more important than, or just as important as when they are in the room. So I've been lucky enough to have a group of women that I've stayed with throughout my career.
And I've spoken to different women, and even for me, I don't have so many strong, like, women in my corner. And that has a lot to do with me as well. I think when you come from a cycle of mental health and, bitterness and anger, it's sometimes really hard to grow and nurture relationships until you're really able to see what they mean. So I feel like I'm now, like, at this season, I'm 47, and at this season of my life, I'm just now getting those relationships. And some of them have been there for over 20 years, but I didn't honor and respect them the way I should have. And, my friend will say, "You're so honest." And I'm like, well, how am I going to teach someone else? Like, there could be a 47-year-old woman sitting at home right now, has nobody, is the loneliest she's ever been, doesn't know where she wants to go in life. And she'll hear my message and be like, "Oh, that can change in one day."
Yes.
And we get so stuck in these moments of thinking that we can. I always say they're just like learning, but without having those people in your corner, I could say solid maybe 5 right now, down from having 0. There's no comparison. Like the moments of being able to throw ideas back and forth, or just, "Hey, do you need a hug?" Or, "Hey, how are you?" I don't believe in the victimized conversations anymore. I feel like if you want to come talk to me about something, know that you're looking for a solution and you don't want me to kind of add to the victimized mindset. But I just think it's so necessary to have them, and not just women, men too. But how do you feel like, as a woman that sits in this role, right? How do you invite or bring in small businesses, entrepreneurs, different people? We're living in a really tough day and age. And it seems like a lot of the bigger vendors are always getting, and not just with active sports, all across the board. Google, Honda, I've been part of procurement. I talk to everyone because they get so comfortable in having, let's say, a marketing agency for 25 years that understands the brand. There's no way they're gonna make, like, the mistakes that, like, maybe a newcomer would bring on. So the brand gets comfortable with that agency, but then they don't bring in other winners to just be like, "Okay, let's peel off, some of this," because procurement, supply diversity, that is such a weird place to even talk about right now. But how as someone that sits in your role, can you actively say, "This is what I wanna do for women, for small business owners, for entrepreneurs that are looking for ways in"? It doesn't necessarily have to be with PUMA. Just like
Yeah.
overall, how do we mentor people to do better?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think it's so hard because different marketing or brand or business leaders have different approach to that. Like you just talked about, some of the bigger companies, they have agencies of records that they've had for years and years and years and years because they need, I don't want to say it's cut and paste, but they're like, they know what they can get out of it. They know it's a predictable business. They know if it's a car company, they know how many new launches they have and they
Know
know how
what's
to
working, what's
Oh,
not.
and that cycle's tough. I'd say in this industry, especially with all the brands that are happening right now, is probably more beneficial for small businesses because you're always looking for cool, new, creative ideas, and you're more willing to risk. And it might not be on the whole business. Like if it's a small agency saying we want to be your partner for all of Puma basketball or whatnot, but it's like, hey, we want like we're going to pitch
Oh, I don't
for
want to. I know what that means. I just
in
want
a
a little bit. Can you just
for
give
them.
me
Yeah, and I would say to get your foot in the door in this event and prove it out and then grow from there. Because in today's day and age, especially where budgets, and it's not just here at Puma, everybody right now is watching the
everybody.
budget being really, really tight.
Yeah,
Uh, and it's like, okay, let's test, let's not like do a long term deal. Let's test and see what we can get. And
yeah.
then you start grow that. So it is about, using the network to get your foot in the door. And also, a lot of marketers move around from brand to brand, company to company. Is people you've worked with before that can trust you and can validate you. That's a way in
I
because
think it's more of that.
yeah, it
I
is, and it is.
honestly think it's more of that because I used to work for Simon Sportswear.
Mm,
I was director of marketing for over 29 stores. That's how I met the PUMA team, Adidas team, Nike team, Jordan team, all the active sports team. And my favorite, honestly, is PUMA. PUMA is the one that is always thinking about creators and agencies and
yeah,
projects. And because you start to cultivate these relationships with the people that work in house and they know what you're capable of, then there's more of it that starts coming your way. I really wish there was like an opportunity to give those, because there's a lot of people that are silent introverts. They don't really want to network as much and they don't
yeah,
really know a lot of people, but they're so great at
yeah,
what they do. It's just such a narrow line to figure out, I think. And I think as someone that's been in the corporate world as well as like in the agency world, is it I want to say it's like I don't want to say miracle, but it is just being around the right conversations. And at times it feels like a miracle because you've been working so hard to
yeah,
sustain it and then it just happens.
yeah, yeah. And the networking, I cannot stress it enough. I mean, you know it better than I. You're a brilliant networker. Is that networking piece? That's what's key. Is it because it's that one phone call? A project pops up and is like, does anybody know any agencies? And there were times like when I went to TB12, and then when I got back to Clark's, I would call friends and say, I need like who are your top three like cool new creative agencies? Like we want to try something different, or event agencies or whatnot. And like when we're working on special projects, sometimes you want a new take on it, so you wanna start really new, so picking up that phone and calling your network of people as well.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it's so important. I think being like not being fully vulnerable because I feel like sometimes vulnerable does more harm than good, but just like being honest. Hey, this is where I am currently in my life. I'm working on a new I'm working on a new influencer SaaS platform right now that will allow you to go into put in the ambassador's handle, tell them the budget you got, is this a good fit or not? And it'll populate if it's a good fit or not. And no one's doing that. And I literally sat down 5 days and built it myself through AI. So I'm super excited about that. But I just also, like, think, like, don't sit in the what ifs. Make the calls.
yes, correct.
Always come with value. Nothing like, "Hey, I'm just checking in, how are you?" You don't really care. Like, get straight to the point. These are the values that I currently bring to the table. Do you see any area or any synergies that we can collide? Keep it simple.
Yep.
The days of to whom it may concern, I just wanted to, like the real Tara, do you
The
got
amount of
what's
the
up?
amount
Like,
of emails that co the amount of emails that come like that. Yeah, exactly,
stop
exactly.
asking me how I'm doing. Get straight to the point.
Like we talked about it earlier, is that hustle mentality. Like if there's an event like down at Art Basel, like there's 50 events. You gotta go to a couple of them and you gotta network down there as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
like Possible's coming up. I think like in 2, 3 weeks. Possible is one of the biggest events here in South Florida, marketing tech. I don't see any active sports brands that go, and they literally will fly you out and put you in a hotel and get you in the right rooms because what are they looking for? They're looking for brand marketers to connect with agencies and other deals and make deals.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like there's always opportunity out there. You just have to find
Yep.
the ones that it's aligned to you. And more importantly,
Mm.
I wanna go somewhere that most people in your position probably would not go on a podcast, and I wanna start by saying, I hope you're willing to have this conversation. Look at Tara's face. She's like,
That's it.
"Don't get me in trouble over here." I wanna talk about perimenopause and
Mm,
menopause,
mm.
and as a 47-year-old woman that has experienced specific things and not really understood like what is happening, like even the sweats and the brain fog and the not being able to think straight. Like what is happening to me? Like I'm only 47. Like what's going on with my brain? That same mentality I had before is just not there. When did you first notice as a woman that something was changing? Like what was the very first sign? that your body was entering a different chapter? And I know we just completely flipped from business, but this is
We
what
did. We
socially
did. We did.
loves.
Well, we're in the same age bracket. So I would say so we and it was not like most women who went through this too. It's like not on your radar as well. Like now I feel like at least there's conversations happening. It was never on my radar. That was something my mom went through like when she was
They never
older.
talked about it.
No, nobody ever talked about it. So then I was at Clark's, amazing, amazing company, and they started a women's group when I was over there, and they started just having women like intercompany conversations on women's issues. So I started going to them this is years back, and they started talking about all of this. And then I was like, oh no, like this is I'm like I started Googling it, asking around, like when is this gonna hit? I started taking tests online, like trying to talk to my doctor, and they were just like, calm down, like a high anxiety that was just gonna hit me one day once I started reading all of that. And then I think it just like eased into it, like became a part of it. And as you know, like going through it for like a couple years, you now like are okay, now I know what it is. And because women now openly
I
talk
still
about
don't know what it is.
my friends are like, we're all around the same age and we're, talking about that piece of it. At least you're like, we openly talk about it right now and joke about it, where I feel as though it just wasn't spoken about for many years. Now, do I think in the workplace everybody understands and all that? Absolutely not. But
No.
lucky enough, I was
Or even like, okay, your partner probably yes, but like even if you're in a marriage and a relationship with a man, like they don't understand.
no, in the workplace, they don't. But I will say I was so proud and working over at Clark's that they were openly talking about
Love
that. And
that.
we brought in an expert. She was an ex Olympic athlete that actually she goes and she speaks about women's health, especially the subject of perimenopause and menopause and how it impacts women and what that means, in their day-to-day lives in the workforce and whatnot. So, I would say again, I'm lucky in the sense that I work with a lot of women the same age, so we can openly talk about it. But I don't think it's understood by the general population because we're working with a lot of people that are much younger, and that was me years ago, not caring or understanding about it, and then a lot of men that obviously aren't going to go through it as well. So I think there's still a huge hurdle. But yeah, I
Do you
mean,
think you actually understand what is happening though? Like, do you have like a very good understanding of it?
because I was obsessed with researching it so long,
Okay, well,
and because
share because I'm still like, what is going on? Like,
I'm focused on, when I was over at TB12, I got into following and understanding, longevity as well and women's health, so I follow a lot, of different people that I'm learning a lot more day to day. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on it whatsoever at all, but, like, I've read a lot. I've
learn.
listened to a lot of podcasts.
You're the researcher. I actually have a really good podcast I'm going to share with you. It's with Mel Robbins and a hormone therapist, and she talks about specific
Okay.
that we should be taking and that we should be asking our primary care physician for and our gynecologist for it because these are things that they have never been taught. It's HRT, so it's hormone
Yeah, yeah,
replacement
yeah. Yep,
therapy.
yep.
And then there's just something
Read
else.
about it.
And she's like, "It's $18." It's just that these gynecologists and your primary care doctor don't know how to write the script. So here, let me tell you how to tell them. And I learned so much by this podcast and just sitting being aware. And that's what's so easy these days compared to when I was in my 20s and 30s and I was like AOL dial up and we didn't have you have access to there's access to everything that you need at your fingertips. And
Yeah.
also the more we talk about it, the more we make it human, the more we make it real, the more people
Agree.
start listening.
I agree, 100%.
What do you think is like the hardest symptom to manage when while you're like still performing, you're at this president level, you have your kids, what would you say has been the hardest way to show up?
The sleep interruption for me is the hardest. I
What does that
think
look like?
yeah, sleep for me because I run at 100 miles an hour all day long, like, just normally, that's just who I am.
Show up.
Is that, like, sleep is always it's one of the most important things,
Oh, I thought
obviously.
you meant you actually run 100 miles per
Oh,
hour.
no, no, no. No, the speed that I operate on, in life in general, in
Yeah.
general. But yeah, I think for me, the interrupted sleep, because sleep is, hydration and all that stuff, but sleep is so the people that are like, "Oh, I sleep 3 hours a night, I'm amazing." I'm like, "You're
You're lying.
killing
Yeah.
killing." you're gonna die early. Like,
Yeah.
sleep one of the most important things, and I think for me and I try to focus on getting the proper because it's so interrupted now, so interrupted. There's no, like, full nights of sleeping. That's been the
How many times
hardest
do you
thing.
wake up at night
Oh god, all night.
to use the restroom, or is it just
No,
waking
no,
up?
no, just wake up, yeah.
I wake up 4 times to use the restroom, 3 to 4
Oh,
times.
damn, no, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
probably another area of perimenopause that I just don't know what's happening, and so I was talking to my doctor, she's like, "You're not sleeping. If you're waking up 4 times in the middle of the night, you're not getting any rest." So she's
mm,
like, "I need you to start taking melatonins." I'm like, "You know what?
try
What
the
else?"
melatonin, I do suggest that.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling him. You know what? I'm gonna go to CVS when I leave here. Shout out to CVS, and I'm gonna get us some melatonin and give it a chat. So, what would you say? Like, do you hide from it? Do you open it? Do you share? Like, if you are walking into a meeting and you just got this brain fog, you're feeling really, really tired, you're just not in it. Do you share or do you just put on a mask and make it happen?
No, I don't think I share in that setting. I think when I'm comfortable with my female colleagues, like we joke or openly talk about it. Um, but I haven't experienced where it's prevented me like to go into a meeting or not perform or whatnot. I think it drags on me in like it like hits me on the weekend when I don't have the proper sleep during the week. And then it like really pulls me down there. But I haven't experienced that part of it. But I would say again, I'm lucky that I work with women my own age that we can joke about it and talk about it and like, it sucks getting old conversations and that piece of it. But I mean, I guess then my answer to that is I just power through, like with some of the sleepless nights where it's just totally interrupted.
But I love that you say you have the female colleagues that can relate because it's like you can't pretend that it's not happening. It's
Mm,
happening. So even if you have to go into this meeting and then you get to leave the meeting and be like, girl, do you know like this is what was happening leading up to it? Like, have you experienced things? I think it's really important to have that
yeah,
circle of friends in work that can relate to what you're going through.
agree for sure.
So, like most women in corporate environments, like they stay silent. Like, did you stay silent about it? Like, are you making more noise about it? Do you feel like us in executive levels that we should be talking more about it?
I think what I learned from watching how we handled it over when I was over at Clark's or even here, because we have a women's group here too, which is a fantastic. We have a
Sure, everything they do is fantastic.
handful of ERGs, and the women's one is like so buttoned up, like it's amazing women leading it. I like joined a couple of their meetings; they're so good, but they've been tackling that as well, which I think has been helpful. I think that piece of it too is as an executive, whether you're male or female, is just championing it. When I was over at Clark's, our CEO was a man, and he championed it because he was like, "I watched my wife go through it. I have to absolutely champion this for." So having executives, male female, does not matter.
Doesn't matter.
Uh, Championing it and just women's health issues, and there's, all sorts of different, issues to champion, but I think having that leadership there to support that. So the more companies that embrace, women's groups or groups like that, can definitely help.
Do you feel like confidence, certainty? Like, do you think that perimenopause has a big play on that? Like how
Yeah.
confident you are and, like
Openly talk about it. I
your
think
relationship with your body, how everything is just tight at one point and then it's not.
tell me how you really feel. Yeah. Well, I think too is, the piece of it is where, like, you're like, "I still don't understand it."
So
Like,
don't
we're going through it, so we're learning more and more every day. Like, one of the questions I have is, like, when does it end? And does it end? And is there a new normal after it
know
ends? Like,
it's menopause. So
no,
so
no,
like
no,
what
no.
happens after menopause? Is this sonora pause? Like what what's like I just want to know what what's the difference between what men go through and what we go through? Because we seem to just get all the hormonal,
Ev ev
emotional.
everything, of everything,
Yeah.
everything.
So like a lot of women are describing this period in their life as kind of unravel, right? Like they're at a pivotal point, maybe not just physically, but like in terms of who they thought they were. Did you experience that? Like, do you ever experience that where it's just like, who am I?
Mm. It's funny because when I was, like, in my 20s, early 20s. I read this book called Quarter Life Crisis. I was like, uh, it was all about how when you grow up, you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this job. I'm going to be married by this date. I'm going to have 2 dogs. I'm going to have a fence. And then you get there and you're like, you turn out to be gay. You like cats. And your whole life is not at all what you thought it was going to be growing up. And you're like, you have this crisis at quarter life in your 20s, not midlife crisis. And you're just like, oh my God, this is all going on. I feel like I went through that. And then now as that I'm in my 40s, I feel as though, and like I tell people in their 30s, I'm like, 40s are so much better. And they're like, can't be, you're older. And I'm like, no, because you start to accept yourself so much more. And like stuff that bothered you in your 20s and 30s and stuff like that, it doesn't even matter anymore.
You just
And
don't
things that
know.
like the things that were not important there are
They're
important
not.
now. Every
Yeah.
day that I have my mom and dad alive
Uh,
is an amazing day.
uh,
And the health, if everybody in my family is healthy, is an amazing day.
the
You
real
didn't think
rich.
about that when I was 25 or 30.
Are
And
we?
so I just think how people view me and think about me, like, I can't worry about that. I try to be a good, kind person every day in life, and I don't succeed at that every day, but I try every day, and if people like me or they don't like me, I cannot worry about that. I have to just worry about myself and my family and whatnot. So I think so for me, not I think it's more positive than negative outside of, like, the sleepless nights and the hot flashes. I
Yeah.
think the age is, like, more comfort in myself, more wisdom, and, more thankful for things in my life.
No, absolutely. I say that all the time, and I just don't give a crap. Like, I just don't care.
For
I
that.
care, but I don't care.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
totally.
uh, we have to be okay with ourselves. We have to be confident within ourselves. We have to love ourselves, every single version of ourselves. And I think when you get into into your 40s, just like this is me. Yes, I'm still transforming. Yes, I'm still learning, but this is who I am. See me. Like
Yep,
see me, receive me, or don't, you know?
yep.
Do you think it has like changed your leadership in any way? Like the way you manage, the way you relate to people, the way you make decisions? Like, did your relationship with ambition change? Like, you know?
Um, my ambition has not changed, but for me personally has because is I remember when I switched from being an individual contributor to needing to manage and lead people, and that transition was hard for me. When you are like heads down, work your butt off, go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden you have to lead people and delegate. And they may not do it the way you do it or as fast as you do it or the way at all. And that's a struggle as well. That to me, that was a hard transition for me. But as I started to learn more and more, and I think so my ambition has changed in making my team successful rather than worrying about my personal success because I do believe if my team's successful, the brand and business successful, then I will be successful.
Absolutely.
So it's less about what I bring to the table and it's more about the team. So it's like when you have kids, you have them and now grandkids. Like and not that you put yourself second, but you do because you're worried about making sure that they're fed and they're happy and then you'll
Oh,
sit
you
and eat.
totally put yourself second.
Yeah. And so like that
You're not supposed to, by the way.
mask on for so it's like yeah, and I think that piece of it as well is like that transition has happened for me and like being a mom, like my kids are happy on vacation and they're happy where we're going, okay, I'm happy, so if my team is successful, then I feel like I'm successful. So that part of the ambition is changed a little bit for me.
I love that. I love that. So now that we could transition like into what you would like women to know, right? If there's a woman listening right now, she's in her 40s, something is shifting, she's trying to hold her career, her personal life together, and she doesn't even have words for what she's going through. What do you want to say to her directly?
It's a good one. I mean, you have to find your outlet and what gets you through. Like, it everybody has a different outlet and what gets them through the day. I remember when when we had our first, child, my daughter, and my neighbor came over and she was like, "I'm gonna give you a piece of advice, which is ignore everybody's advice." I was like, "What? What do you mean?" She's like, "Tara, everybody's gonna give you advice. You do what you need to do to get through every day. It is so hard being a first-time mom, so hard. They're gonna tell you, you gotta sleep train them this way, you gotta do that, you gotta do that. You have to wake up in the morning, you gotta go to work. So you gotta do what you gotta do to get through. So do what works for you, and that's would be my advice. everybody's different. Like, you asked me, like, "What do you do when you walk into a meeting? You have brain fog, you have this, you have that." It's just like me being like, "Well, I ignore it and I power through." That may not work for
That
everybody.
might not work
Some
very well.
people they may need a day. They may need they may need to call out sick if they're going having a really bad episode or having a bad day, and that's okay because everybody handles things differently. So I think whatever works for you and however whatever your outlet is to get through, that's okay because it has to work for you. And I think that my neighbor, when she came over and said that to me, has stuck with me through everything. It's just like it is not, and I listen to all these blogs and I read all of that just for some advice, but at the end of the day, what works for me to get through is what I'm gonna do.
And that's the most important thing is to always realize what works for me might not work for you. And it's figuring out exactly what works for you and doing more of that.
Yeah.
We spoke a little bit about this. We said, what does the corporate world get wrong about supporting women in this chapter of their lives?
I think not supporting women is what they get wrong. Just thinking that it's just, every day is just the same. It's just like women need support. Women need support. Everybody needs support because people go through different things. Men need support. They go through different things as well. But I think, when women, after they have a baby and they come integrate back into work, it's really hard. And I think, even if they've got an amazing setup and the baby's taken care of, like it is absolutely hard. And I think we in corporate America could do a better job transitioning and keeping women in the workforce in that sense. And I think going through this stage of their life, we could do more in support. But I think now, like, I don't ever remember, I don't know if you do, in when you were in your 20s and in different brands and companies, like this being a subject ever,
Ever.
ever. So
Now,
now that it is,
like
like, that's a
all
step.
these companies, like, I mean, I applied for a few to be ambassadors, influencers of their brands because I'm like, oh, do I have a story to tell? And you're starting to see it a lot surface now. But I didn't even understand. I didn't even probably never use the word perimenopause in my 20s. I probably didn't even know it existed in my 20s,
Same, same,
you know?
same. But now that we talk, like we have to recognize the advancements that we have made, like the conversation that people are having around it. And I think just making sure there's support. And some companies may feel comfortable openly talking about it. Fantastic. Some companies may not. That's okay, but make sure the support is there
It
for
was
the.
something that you could change. Doesn't have to be with your own company because I know PUMA does a lot of great things,
Mm.
for different parts, but, like, if there was something you feel like you could change, what would that be, and would you do it?
Oh god, I don't know. I do feel as though I've been lucky, whether even back in the day, from Bo's standpoint, what they offered. But Puma, Clark's has always been very supportive, employee first. I've also been lucky enough to work for global organizations. So when you're global, there's so many different countries might be way more advanced, and so that becomes more of the normal. So it helps advance other countries. So I'm very lucky to work at Puma being a global organization in that sense. I don't know. I wouldn't say there's anything I feel like I need to change right now and where I am. But I think, having, as long as most companies are having the conversation is what's important. It's not a one size fits all approach. Like, it can't be. You can't, like, demand, well, all companies need to have this because there's different, different styles, but I think having the conversation and seeing what works and what support is needed
Specific
for.
tools and skills
Yeah.
to get to
Yes.
implement within your system. Because creatively, right now, I could think of 100 things that can be implemented into different corporations, small businesses, entrepreneurship. But the thing is just making sure that it works for each space.
That's
Like,
exactly right.
it
Yeah.
just saying that it has to work for us personally, it has to work for the different spaces that's offering that as well.
Yep.
I just feel like, our medical system, I
I
don't
know.
I'm gonna be nice. I just want them to get it right. You know, like I can find out more by doing my own research on AI and walking
No.
into an emergency room and saying, "This is my symptoms. These are the solutions. This is what I need you to do." My daughter, who's 26, has been in and out of hospitals trying to figure out what's wrong with her heart. They keep telling her she has inflammation around her heart. And I'm like, okay, inflammation around your heart comes when you have infections. It's not,
Mm,
it's just not, your heart is not just going to inflame out of nowhere. And then I said, okay. So she's like, Mom, they have me like in this room. They won't let me go. I said, why? She says, they say I have rhinovirus or something. I said, that's a cold. So I just feel like we want to start to shift things where if I'm going to get some treatment within the scope of perimenopause, menopause, or where I am in my late 40s and 50s, I just want to be sure where I'm going, I'm getting the right information. And I
yeah,
do think strongly what you said is like, even if your company or career or you're an entrepreneur, you don't have those tools, you don't have those programs, create that.
mm,
Say to
mm,
yourself, okay, like I'm going to meet 5 women that are in my age category and we're going to have a conversation every week on Zoom, or we're going to meet for lunch and coffee. Like, don't get caught up in the, like, I have to work for a global brand to feel supported. No, there's ways that you can create it yourself. And I'm sure there's tons of women's groups in every
agree,
single area across the states. We just have to look for them.
agree.
If you could give yourself one permission this time, something you didn't give yourself but wish you had, what would it be?
Patience. Take risks, make mistakes.
More
Make
patience.
I was so risk adverse, like, because of making mistakes early
Yeah.
on. Now I'm like, I wish I made all those mistakes early on because they get riskier as you get older.
I
Like,
know they really
you
do,
move
and it
up.
becomes
Yeah.
a little bit more challenging, right? So working at PUMA, a brand that's built on performance and movement, how does that shape how you think about your own body and what it's going through?
Yeah. I think between working my year and a half at, TB12, being in health and wellness, and being around so many, like, our medical advisory board, longevity, obviously Tom. I mean, we're the same age, so, like, I would look and be like, "How is this man physically, like, doing what he does every single week?" Like, what he put into his body, how he took care of his body, was obviously the premise of that. And I think for me, I that's when I really which was fantastic for me because it was in my 40s, like, early 40s to really understand that. I made a lot of changes, late 30s, early 40s, in understanding health and wellness and longevity, and I think that to me, I've always carried with me. Luckily, yes, I do work, at a sport brand, so we talk
Yeah.
a lot about that, but it's so important. Like I always say, like, food is medicine. It's like what you put in your body and what you do to your body. You only get one, so you got to figure it out and make sure that you can keep it around as long as you can. So I think and that's one of those things as you get older that you start to really focus on and take care of.
Okay. Got one more question for you.
Okay.
What does success look for you like what does success look like for you right now? Not the company version, yours.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, if everybody is healthy in my family, that is success. You've got people around you that you love. Um, that to me is a successful life. Yes.
If there was like something that there was a young woman listening, she's in her 40s, she's just can't stand her life right now. She's super depressed, super overwhelmed, doesn't even know what that next chapter looks like. What would you say to her?
It can be whatever you want it to be. Like, you read these things of, like, so and so didn't start this company till they were 51. So and so didn't do this till they were 55. Like, there's like, especially in our 40s, I know we feel old because we have night sweats, so we're not sleeping,
I
but
like this.
there's you do look real good, and you're a
You do too.
grandmother, and you're a grandmother. It's just like there's so much more life to live. Like, 40s is nothing compared to, like, what's in front of you. You can have a whole new career, a whole new chapter of your life right now, and you can put it all behind. And yeah, it's a lot of hard work. Nothing is easy. It isn't. It just doesn't show up on your doorstep. You got to fight for it, but it can be done for sure. You can
So what
reinvent
it
yourself.
go ahead. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Reinvent yourself. That's what I would tell her.
Always reinvention is, and I think, wouldn't you agree? It can happen at any given moment, in a moment,
Yes,
in a second.
100%. 100%.
So I want to say something to you before I close it out, because I don't know if you know, but I'm a very emotional, passionate person. The courage it takes to be at the level you're at and still be willing to sit here and say the things that most people pretend aren't happening. I think that is the most thing that I respect about you, because here's what I know about the people listening. A lot of them have been waiting for someone who looks like success to tell the truth and what getting there actually cost and what it feels like to do it while your body is changing in real time. And you just did that. So, to everyone listening, if this episode moved you, share it. Send it to the woman in your life who is going through this right now and doesn't know how to name it. This is why this show exists. I'm Rhonda. This is Socially Loved. Tara, thank you for being here. Thank you for
Thank
being
you for having
real. Thank you for trusting me with something that matters this much. It's taken us a while, but we made
me.
it.
It has. It has. Thank you for having me. I always enjoy a very, very open dialogue for sure. In any way to support women, we have to stick together. So thank you very much, Randa.
Of course.